Yo, let me do a quick sound check right now. That's a little better. That's a little better right there. Bueno. See, I'm live on YouTube and I'm live on Twitter. This goes off to the Twitter family. I haven't seen a lot of this on YouTube, but Twitter's been on fire lately. I keep hearing, I keep hearing all this noise about the Tank pay-per-view. Rick Glacier put out the tweet that it only did 61,000 pay-per-view buys. We have round one. How's it going? We have people just believing it. Okay, well, I call bullshit. How about that? I don't believe the numbers. I don't think it's true. Look, I'm not here to look. I'm far from an advocate of Tank Davis pay-per-views, and I've never thought any of his fights really should have been on pay-per-view. They should have been on regular Showtime, grow his fan base. But that's not what this is about. This is about a number being put out, right? And I'm questioning it. I'm questioning if it's true. Los Chingones Boxing in the building. Everyone go to the channel, subscribe. Great stuff. Let somebody tell me where Ray Glacier got these numbers. Can he tell us where he got the numbers? Can he give us a general idea? You don't have to tell us the person. You don't rather. Can you give us an idea? The industry in which they gave you these numbers? Something. Like, how did Ray Glacier get the numbers from Dish, DirecTV, Cox Cable, Comcast, whatever, okay? Fios, and then the digital numbers, right? Which we're in a digital age now, right? Sling TV, YouTube TV, Amazon Prime. How do you get all these numbers? How did Ray Glacier get access to all this? That's amazing. If you can get access to all that. I don't believe it. Shout out to Puerto Rican Rum. Lennox was best in the building. Hit the like button. If you're listening right now or an archive and you haven't already, hit that bell button so you're notified. We come on live. Hispanics Causing Panic every Monday. We're back. Monday's the day. All right, we'll be in the morning the next 2 weeks. Same time, 1 p.m. Eastern. Write it down. See y'all there. Now, but let's continue here. Shout out to Mike Biggs Boxing in the building as well. How's it going, brother? Hit the like button, guys. Look, I'm trying to understand what Rick Glacier just because first he came out and said, man, I don't even want to say anything because the numbers were so bad that I didn't even want to say anything. Like, who believes that? Like, ain't nobody believe that, okay? And I'm having people throw numbers at me with no source at all. Like, well, what's going on over here? And people saying that the Wilder numbers are low. Okay, cool. I'm not arguing that the Tank Davis pay-per-view numbers were great. I'm just questioning the 61,000 figure. And here's why I'm questioning. I'm questioning it because there's a precedent for it. If Tank Davis was in a fight and the arena was half empty and it did like 500,000 at the gate or less, and okay, then I would say, okay, there's no real reason for me to question this. I mean, I could still ask how they're getting these figures, but I just want to, because multiple sources are not reporting these figures. Multiple sources are not putting this information out. There's something fishy. There's something odd about it. People are just running with it. And I believe there's a lot of confirmation bias going on. People are they're hearing what they want to hear. They're glad to hear that it failed and that it flopped to this degree, I should say. Because to me, anything under 200,000 is a flop, in my opinion, anyway. But I just think this is a bit of an exaggeration to me. Okay? Because there's no precedent for this. It did 5 million at the gate. Guys. Oh, nobody asked for this fight. Nobody wanted to see it. It did 5 million at the gate. 5 million. Opinions are great. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody has a lot of things to say. All right? I wasn't a fan of the fight either, but 5 million at the gate is fucking 5 million at the gate. So what does that mean? Never have I seen a fight that generated more at the gate than on pay-per-view. If you believe these numbers at $74.99 a pop, and this is all gross before deductions, before the providers take half of it, before anybody gets their cut. I'm just going full gross earnings, all of it, right? It does less. It does less in the gate. Something's off about that. That would be an outlier of epic proportions, is what I'm saying. If it's at 61,000, let's go ahead and do the math right now, okay? Let's do the math. If it's at 61,000, all right, 61,000 times, let's go $75. You're telling me it did 4,575,000 on pay-per-view. That's what it generated, but it did 5 million at the gate. That means someone's lying. It's totally possible that the gate numbers are completely inflated. Somehow they've done an okie doke and it convinces it did that much. Something's inflated about it and off about it. That's one explanation. All right. However, even if you take away a whole million, let's say you go from 5 million to 4 million or even 3 million at the gate. All right. You would still have a hard time explaining why the numbers are too close. Because the audience for pay-per-view is a lot larger than a 10, 12,000 in an arena. You just got to use your logic for a second. If whatever it was, how many people were there? Does anybody know the actual figure of the actual bodies in the building? Let's say it was 12,000, 10,000. If that many people went out of the way to buy the tickets, went to Ticketmaster, okay, bothered to print out those tickets, but that's a lot of work, all right? Book if they're not in town, they have to drive over. If they're in town, they got to drive to the arena, go inside, yada yada, spend a whole night there, right? But those that were not from the area, they got to book flights, you got to book hotels. So you tell me all these individuals did all those things to the point that it generated the gate that it did, but nobody bought the fight outside of that. So you would have to believe that almost everyone that wanted to see the fight went to go see this fight or only lived in that area. That is insane. That's crazy. That did not happen with Wilder. If you look at the generated pay-per-view money in the Wilder fighting compared to the gate, it's not close. What are you guys talking about? If the Wilder pay-per-view did, let's say it did these numbers. You're telling me they did 4 million. Well, he only did like 1 million at the gate. 4 times on pay-per-view. That means President shows you got to do 4 times the revenue. Okay, 19,000 in attendance. 19,000 people showed up. I believe it was in Washington, D.C. Either you believe, use your heads for a second. Either you believe that the only people interested in this fight all lived in Washington, D.C., and they all went to the arena to watch it, right? Or if you don't believe that, people from outside of the state, or it's not a state, but outside of the capital, okay? You are expecting me to believe that it did less on pay-per-view than on the gate. That doesn't make any sense. No fight that attracts 19,000 to a fucking arena is going to do just a little more than half of that on pay-per-view. Oh, but they're streaming fights. They've been streaming shit for years. For years, shit has been like streamed for years. Well, what does that even mean? Of course, there's a percentage of fans that stream the fights. Let's say it's a higher percentage. It's not going to be as drastic like that all out of nowhere. Paposo, I'm not talking about Wilder right now, brother. I'm going to stay on topic. I made my comment about that. It's simple. Okay, sell it or not. Okay, The gate did nowhere near what it generated on pay-per-view. So I'm sticking to the topic. Name me one fight in history that did more at the gate, I'm talking gate money, than it did on pay-per-view. Name me one fight. You expect me to believe that it did less on pay-per-view than at the gate. That's crazy. This is crazy. What are y'all talking about? This is nuts. Name me one fight. I'll wait. Can somebody name me one fucking fight? So 19,000 of those 19,000, I don't know how many, but thousands booked flights, hotels. Okay, showed up. Spent a lot of money to spend the time there. But you expect me to believe that there's people that didn't bother buying the fight? You expect me to believe that, like, can somebody explain it to me? Like, leave your feelings and like, stop trying to get your confirmation bias. I understand. I didn't like the pay-per-view either. I'm not here to tell people that it did 500,000. I'm not. All right? But precedent shows, right? If you look at the correlations, all right? If you look at it line by line, go pay-per-view to pay-per-view, gate and pay-per-view revenue, all right? Data very rarely, all right? Humans were very predictable, all right? We're predictable. We run in packs. They make algorithms based on human beings and our behavior. There's not going to be that big of a shift like that, just out of nowhere. Now, there are outliers. This would have to be an unbelievable outlier of epic proportions. Not impossible. Can't rule it out. But you need to understand, it would be an outlier of epic proportions. Name me one fight that did more at the gate than on pay-per-view. Name me one. Name me one. Can somebody name me one? You can't do it. You just can't. People have been streaming fights. People have been doing it illegally. Even if you say more than ever, it's not like 10 times more than ever. Of course, more people are streaming. Yes, people have had the Fire Stick streaming shit for years already. And even if you say, no, but they're better now, so what? It's not going to be by that much more. It's not. If that was the case, it would affect all pay-per-view. UFC will be affected. Canelo fights will be affected. Everybody will be affected. But now we're just going to believe it because you want confirmation bias. African G, H Money. Let me tell you something about hashtag MOB. MOB is down with HCP. HCP's back, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. But check this out. Every Monday night or Monday morning, it just depends. I want somebody to name me one fight, just one, and I'll shut the fuck up. Name me one fight that did more at the gate than on pay-per-view. Name me one. Oh, the Wilder fight. No. The Wilder fight did more, generated more, even with the abysmal numbers, okay, than it did at the gate. No fucking fight. You can't name it to me. You just can't do it. People are just, I believe Ray Glacier came up with these numbers out of his ass. I got to be honest with you. I believe he believes it failed, all right? I think he probably thinks it's a good possibility that around these numbers, but he doesn't know. I don't believe him, right? And if you could articulate how he knows without giving away, I get people have private sources and very conveniently nowadays, but it is what it is, right? But why don't we see confirmations from other news sources? Like, what's going on right now? And people just don't want to question. Oh, well, Rick Glacier said it, so I'm going to roll with it. Okay. I don't believe these numbers. Somebody told, the Isaac Cruz fight only did 59,000. Okay, source. How do you know? Oh, like, this is crazy, bro. I want you guys to use your heads for a second. Like, just think logically. Like, do you know how blackouts work, like sports blackouts? Like, you guys do know that whenever, like in your city, like if your team is playing in some areas, right, like on Fox Sports or Fox Sports Central or Fox Sports East or whatever, Southwest, whatever it is, right? Let's say your team is playing, all right, and they haven't sold out the arena yet. They do a blackout, right? And the point of the blackout is, well, you don't get to watch it on TV because the owners of the team want people to show up to the arena, buy the tickets, pack it up, and then we'll put it available on television, right? That's a form of blackout. There's other forms of blackouts, but that's one form of blackouts, right? So in this case, the fight literally sold out, 19,000, right? So it's like the opposite of that. It's like enough people wanted to watch it, so therefore they make it available. Now in this case, they're making it available on pay-per-view, right? Now in boxing, they don't black stuff out, okay? My point is about demand, all right? The way like the market works, right? If there's enough demand that it causes a $5 million gate, like it, love it, whatever, it doesn't matter what you think. It's not about opinion, right? If the market created a $5 million demand, okay, now granted, like I said at the beginning, is it possible that they inflated those numbers or manipulated those numbers to make it look higher than what it was? I guess. I don't see any evidence of it. I'm not saying it's not happening, but I don't see any evidence of that. Okay, but if there's enough demand that causes a $5 million gate, and then you believe that there's no demand at all for it to be sold on pay-per-view, you are crazy. Like I said, we're pattern creatures. Humans are pattern creatures. Okay, everything from call centers, marketplaces, whatever it is, they could predict almost to the T how many people are going to contact them based on algorithms and based on previous patterns. Okay, if I look at algorithm and previous patterns, I've never seen a fight that would have done 5 million at the gate and then less than that on pay-per-view. That is insane. Unless you find me that some dude paid $2 million for a ticket and that's what helped to get to 5 million or some crazy shit like that. Unless you can find me evidence that 3 million of that is like comp tickets and they just gave them away or some shit. Unless you can find me something dramatic like that, none of this is making any sense at all. All right? Because previous human behavior on the way things work, okay, in this marketplace, that is boxing, all right? Previous human behavior, okay, that shows us when gates here, the pay-per-view is always going to go higher. It's just the way it is. That's all the way it's always been. And unless there's been a sudden market shift, and now it's going to be the opposite. Now gate is going to be more than pay-per-view, which let's say that's possible, then I'm expecting that to happen for every fight moving forward. Then I'm expecting every fight moving forward, right, to be the same. Let me tell you something. None of this is making any sense. I'm just going to tell you that right now. There's a correlation, guys. All right? There's a correlation. When Canelo and Gennady Golovkin did almost 30 million at the gate, you kind of already knew the show's going to hit 1 million buys because the algorithm and the projections showed that. And almost to the T, Canelo Golovkin is a perfect example of it, right? The first fight had the highest gate, highest numbers. Okay, the second fight had the second highest gate, second highest pay-per-view numbers. Third fight, the third highest gate, third highest pay-per-view numbers. Almost to the T. We're pattern creatures. It's the way it is. I'm just saying. When Fury Wilder did almost 16 or 19 million at the gate, broke the heavyweight record, right? Inflation aside, but nonetheless, I knew it was going to sell more than the 100,000 people were saying because it's almost impossible for it to do less in revenue on pay-per-view because The demand shows the proof's in the pudding. Shout out to Remy, says, speak the real talk, DStyle. Brave, because they're probably disappointed with the numbers. But just because they're disappointed with the numbers doesn't mean it's 61,000. All right? It doesn't mean that. I would venture to say, at the very least, the revenue on pay-per-view is at least double the gate, which tells me it did about 150,000 to 200,000. That's my guess, okay? And I'm going by, again, human behavior, pattern, and algorithm. Like that's how they create algorithms, all right? We're pattern creatures. We don't have a drastic change all of a sudden. It's just, unless it's a start of a drastic change, but then I want to see that trajectory going forward then. Is the way I see it, okay? That's all I'm saying at the end of the day. Now, people talking about the replay did very low, but the boxing event in general did low that day. I'm just saying. I don't think it did 200,000. I'm guessing about 150. But again, I will say this is just a guess of mine. I'm not going to say, oh, a source told me. I know this for a fact. And like, I don't know. I have no idea. But this whole, the market's harsh. The economy's bad. The economy's bad, but he did 5 million at the gate. All those arguments like times are hard. The economy, the inflation. That should have affected the gate too. That means less people should have bought plane tickets. Less people should have booked hotels. Okay, less people should have bought tickets, which would have forced them to lower the prices. It wouldn't have done as good of a gate. Nobody could even show me a causation between that and the pay-per-view number. This is crazy. In my opinion, cap. Like I'm just being honest. I think it's all cap. And we have a bunch of people that it's all confirmation bias. I'm with you. I thought the fight being on pay-per-view was stupid. I'm with you. I don't think it should have been a pay-per-view event. I'm with you. I don't think it was that great of a success, pay-per-view wise. But I know it did better than 61,000. Something just tells me that, right? But the gate had been lower, it wasn't in DC. I don't know. But I don't think it would have been that much. Like this idea that, everyone in DC, in DC it was popping, but nowhere else. Like, yeah, but when Tank goes to Atlanta, it's popping. When Tank goes to LA, it's popping. Like, you can't deny the fact that in terms of a gate, he sells, right? You can't deny that. His fight in New York did like 4 million at the gate. I mean, it's there. You could make an argument. Maybe DC's a better market. Look, this is proof, whatever. But again, we're not talking. It's not doing double. You know what I mean? It's doing like 20% better or so, which is solid, which is good, right? But if somebody wants to tell, there's more streaming than ever. Okay, cool. But show me how it's affecting the whole market. You know, maybe something happened, and we're going to see a different trajectory going forward. Or maybe it's a bunch of cap. It's just my opinion, okay? I think Showtime isn't releasing the numbers because they know it's not like 300,000 or some shit. Like I would be shocked if it's that much, all right? But again, I'll admit I don't know, right? 150,000 is my guess, right? But we'll see. But again, I'll stick to what I'm saying. Look, sometimes the first time like a change in a trajectory happens, you know, people are skeptical. People don't believe it because that's not the norm. That's not what the trajectory has been showing. That's not what the pattern has been showing. But those things are rare. They happen once in a generation. And it could be happening now. We're living in a day of technology that's growing and it's rapid, right? But I just don't think it's a very convenient time, in my opinion, for it to have happened, right? We will see. We have more pay-per-view fights coming, so we're going to do this experiment moving forward. But I'm going to say cap. I think it's cap. I think the pay-per-view did at least double what they're saying, at the very least. All right? It's. I've never heard of a pay per view that did less at the gate than a pay per view. I just never heard of it. So that is that. This is DStyle. I'm out, guys. Peace.